We've got to be raising the most socially inexperienced generation in all of history. Not because kids are less intelligent, not because they're lazy, but because we've slowly taken away all the little moments that actually teach people how to talk. Nobody told me that parenting would be this embarrassing. Like, honey, she's got her keys. She's trying to leave. Let the lady go. You can't talk about a movie nobody's ever seen for 30 minutes. Go meet that girl. No, I'm not going to meet that girl. Yes, go meet that girl. I used to think they were just shy. They'll grow out of it. They won't. Because conversation isn't something they naturally learn. It's a skill they practice. But today, every waiting room, every car ride, every dinner table, and every awkward moment is interrupted by a screen. And we wonder why our kids can't hold a conversation. Today, I want to show you how to reclaim those moments and raise kids who are confident, curious, and genuinely enjoyable to talk to. So let me take you back to even before I had children. This was revealed to me. I was a labor and delivery nurse, and every night I would come into a brand new family and say, "Hi, I'm Angelica. I am going to be all up in your stuff in your most vulnerable moments. And you're going to place your life in my hands. And not only your life also, but the life of your newborn baby. Nice to meet you." Talk about some social training. My social confidence just soared because the growth came through the reps. Now, my kids aren't quite ready for that level of intensity, but they do need the opportunity to get their own reps in. And we found the golden opportunity every week, but I learned firsthand how easy it is to ruin it. So picture this. My church had this early morning breakfast that happened before church, and I would go with the girls. And when I arrived, there was like a table completely full of all the church women. There was a table completely full of all the church men. And then there was the empty table where I sat with my children. And I felt super uncomfortable. And I would get their yogurt, and then I would have like my eyes like glued down and just, help them. And some women would sit at my table, but I just didn't feel confident. And my phone was burning a hole in my pocket. Why? Like, not because I was busy or even because I was getting notifications, but because it was like a safe space where I could retreat from the uncomfortable situation. Now, if I, as a grown woman, feel that pressure socially and turn to my screen, what do you think our kids do? So I had to leave my phone in the car just so I could engage with these church women that God has put before me. What I learned is this: screens will fill up the awkward moments, and our children will never get their reps in unless we protect that space. So we have to make screen-free sanctuaries. Let me give you an example of 2 screen-free sanctuaries that we've made for our children and how we intentionally use them. And I think this will give you more ideas of places that you should make screen-free. And I would love to hear your ideas in the comments below. So it all started when my husband James had this brilliant idea of what the time before church could look like. He knew it didn't have to be just like a boring time where you're twiddling your thumbs waiting for things to get started. He turned it into systematic social training. He takes my 3 girls around the sanctuary every Sunday and greets all the people who are there. And during this time, he's able really to do 3 things. He models, and they get to practice, and later he gets to coach them through these social situations. I can immediately think of 3 specific lessons my children have learned from this about the wonderful art of conversation. And the first one is about body language and eye contact. You've all seen a 4-year-old who's trying to greet an adult. That's very intimidating, and you can tell by their body. Chin down, eyes down, fidgets, voice is too soft, right? If they give a hand, they don't really mean it. But every week, my husband James is modeling the right way to greet someone. So he has his shoulders back. He speaks loudly. He's putting his hand out there. "Hello, Mr. Sampson. How are you doing?" And immediately after my husband is modeling this behavior, my kids get to practice it. And then James gets to coach them. So I remember one Sunday after church, James talking to one of my daughters and saying, look, you've got to make eye contact. When you are looking away like that, it does not look like you care. Mastering the basics of communication is important, but staying engaged when you feel vulnerable is completely different. The second lesson that my daughter learned unlocked a complete superpower when it comes to conversation. So my third daughter broke her arm in February, and when the subsequent Sundays, when she was expected to go around and greet everyone, she did not want to do it. She was like hunting for a dress that would like cover up her cast. And she's like, no, I just want to sit here. Everyone's going to ask me, how did you break your arm? What did you do? And so we're talking through this and I'm like, honey, these are your people. Like they care about you. And that didn't really stick with her. But then I said, look, you have power to direct the conversation. They say, how'd you break your arm? You tell them, and then you say, have you ever broken a bone? And my daughter walked away from that Sunday feeling more socially confident because she realized she could guide conversations. By the way, she fell from the monkey bars, landed like this, and broke her elbow. Apparently it happens all the time. Anyway, the deepest social barrier to communication is not even physical skills or conversational skills, but there's something much worse. It's the mindset that our culture is feeding our children all the time. Just 1 month ago, I was thrilled to see a total shift in my 9-year-old's way of thinking develop from this very screen-free sanctuary. It was her birthday, and her dad took her out for lunch, and you probably think we're crazy, but we have this like objectives list that our children are working toward to be a godly woman. And so he was going over that. One of the objectives is serving church members. And so he said, well, do you ever serve church members? And she's like, no, I don't really know. I don't really serve church members. And he said, well, whenever you greet them on Sunday mornings, you are serving them. And when she came home from their lunch, the thing she reported on was, Daddy says that I serve other people whenever I greet them. Now, what an awesome step for a 9-year-old to realize that her communication is not about her, it's about others. And that's really what it's all about. Communication is not about having like good manners or being polite. It's about belonging and true connection. My oldest daughter says, I know the name of every adult in our church. These are the beautiful connections that screens tempt our children away from. But church is just one piece of the puzzle. The truth is, cultural sabotage is attacking our family from all angles. And as parents, it's incredibly overwhelming to realize that we're not even sure exactly where we stand against the attacks of modern culture. So that's why we created the Culture Proof Audit. It's a free diagnostic tool where you can see where your family currently stands, where they're vulnerable to the modern culture, and next steps you can take to fortify your kids so that they can stand victorious against that culture. You can grab your free copy of that in the link below. But here's the secret. Our children will never be able to enter into high-stress social situations like the ones at church if they haven't first practiced it at home. I want to tell you about the most important screen-free sanctuary in our home, the barrier we had to overcome to make it valuable, and exactly how we use it for its maximum effect. This is a place that for decades has been dominated by screens, almost to the point where it's a tradition every night for most families. I'm talking about the dinner table. But a few years ago, our dinner table did not feel like a sanctuary at all. It felt more like a circus. I love eating dinner with my family now. It is a super special time for me. But a few years ago, it was the worst part of my entire day. And the worst part for me was getting the food from the kitchen to the table. there's so many little pieces, and it felt like no one would help me at that point of exhaustion and frustration and even disappointment. It would be very easy to turn on the TV or to hand my kids an iPad just for a few moments of peace. But I have had my kids' friends come over and say things like this. You know what I like about your family? You actually have regular meals. We just grab something whenever we want and eat it in our room. Or, my family doesn't eat with candles. We just all sit in front of the TV. And that was heartbreaking. How are these kids going to grow up socially strong if they're not even connecting to their own family? This was a battle I was not willing to lose, but I was too grumpy and uptight to enjoy my kids. There was no way, if I didn't rein in the chaos, I could have a screen-free sanctuary with beautiful art of conversation. So I enacted a battle plan to tame the chaos. Here it is. How to prepare the table. This list, it looks simple, but it's not. It's magic. It helped so much. Now everyone knows how to help. I can say, hey, time to prepare the table. Check the list. It's right there in the dining room, and my kids can check the list. Clean it off. Plates or bowls, forks or spoons, waters or drinks, candles, music, food. What condiments are needed? Consider ketchup, ranch dressing, salt, Parmesan cheese, and questions for humans. This was a super strategic move because dinner is not about getting food in our faces. It is about real life connection. So now we sit down at the table with the music playing, light the candles, we pray, we eat, we talk about our day. We wind up talking about so many things. If the conversation stalls, we have been working through these questions for humans. If you could own any animal as a pet, what would it be? Anyway, they're fun. And because the table is a screen-free sanctuary, my children get 30 minutes of uninterrupted conversation practice every day. And I would say it is in the top 3 most important things that we do as a family. Social skills don't happen by accident. They happen over oven-fried chicken. From that screen-free sanctuary, my children have a deep bond, and they have the social competence that comes from being connected to their family. All right, so I want to know, when and where do you think should be a screen-free sanctuary? Please put it in the comments below. And if you want to look closely at your family's vulnerabilities to cultural sabotage and want to know next steps you can take to strengthen your kids, then click the link below for the Culture Proof Audit. So social sanctuaries are how we protect our children's connection to others and allow them to grow into confident women. But if you want to dive deeper into how we address the insecurity that is so prevalent among girls and grow confident women, then I think you will love this video. Keep fighting for moments of quiet, beautiful connection in your own home and in your own church. God bless your family.